Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Romas Buivydas, and this is Airing Addiction at the New England Recovery Center and Farris Center here in Westboro. And this is Recovery Month. Everybody, I think, knows that and somehow looks at it in different ways, celebrates it in different ways, remembers it in different ways. And as part of Recovery Month, I thought it's really a good idea to get someone who can talk about their whole journey through their life of recovery and what they've gone through, obstacles, the good and the bad, the funny and the not so funny. Yeah, I mean, we're laughing already. And as we go through that, we'll just be having a great conversation with our guest, Rob Grenier. And Rob, what's your title here?
I'm a recovery special supervisor.
So that takes in and of itself, that's a huge responsibility for this kind of facility.
It is.
And how long have you been in that position?
This position I've been in for 3 months. I was in it for 2 years, and then I took another position as a recovery support navigator for 8 months, doing case management services with clients that were getting out of jail on medicated assisted treatment, withdrawal.
Okay.
And then I came back here on May 1st.
Nice. And I'm sure everybody was happy to get you back again.
They were happy to get me back.
No, very nice, very nice. I've known you for many years already here at Spectrum, and I can certainly vouch that you know your stuff. You have empathy, you have structure for the folks, you go by the book. It's an amazing thing. At times, I know the old joke was, we wish we could clone you.
Yeah, that's a joke.
That's a joke, I know, but seriously now, we'd like to hear about your journey. Tell us what you feel comfortable, obviously, with, and just walk us through how you started, how you went, what you went through, how you got into recovery, and then future plans and all that good stuff.
Okay. So I'm originally from South Boston, Massachusetts. I was born and raised there. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters. It was my mom that raised us. I've never seen my father in my life. We basically grew up poor and we lived in the projects and we were on welfare. I think my mom at one point was the only person that worked. I started drinking alcohol probably when I was 12 years old because everybody else was doing it. When I think back on it now, it was almost like it was a normal thing to do. It was probably like 1980. We just hung out in the park, we played basketball, we played cards and things like that.
And if I recall, Southie back then, there were bars every couple of feet up and down West Broadway.
Yeah, there's a bar in every corner.
Yeah.
And I actually lived above a bar room when I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And me and my friend that lived above me would help the bartenders when the bar closed, bring up alcohol down from downstairs to stock the chest for them at 8, 9 years old.
So it was part of your life already then.
Yeah. But I think it was just normal. When I look back on it now, it just seemed like it was a normal thing to do. Everybody was doing it. But what I know today is that when I drank and I did drugs, I did it differently than other people.
How do you mean?
It's almost like I wanted to constantly do it. You know, once I put something in my system, it just triggered something to where I just needed to do it. I needed to do it. You know, at first I was doing it on the weekends for a while. I had started to get in trouble in school right away. I was fighting in school. I had gotten thrown out of a couple schools. I can remember being sent to school in Mattapan and getting on the school bus to show my mother I was going to school. But the moment I got to school, I would go in the front door, go out the side door, take the trolley back to Ashmont Station, then go back to Broadway Station, and I would hang out in the park. So, and this was all driven mainly by my desire to drink and do other substances.
I mean, everybody has their own way of describing it. You have the desire to drink. What did it do for you back then, even?
It took away my fear.
So what?
Of anything. I mean, growing up in South Boston was basically like a neighborhood literally in itself. And we really didn't go to many other places outside it. So everybody almost like knew everybody. In order to do like certain things, maybe talk to a girl, or maybe to go to Kenmore Square, or to go to another environment, I would have to have alcohol in my system.
Mhm.
So because it took away the fear of being able to do it, the fear of being able to speak with girls, things like that.
So because maybe, again, you didn't have a father figure in your life to help you through that, that might have been the result. I don't know, could have been, right?
It could have been. I mean, could my life have turned out different if I had a father? I'm really not sure of that. I mean, it may have, but I'm not sure of it.
And I think that's a fair statement to say, because not everybody goes in that direction who has a single parent raising them.
Yes.
So I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, I can back in the 80s, and I can certainly vouch for this, Southie was still predominantly Irish,
Yes.
and I'll say it here, because everybody knows by my last name, and there were tons of Lithuanians over there, and both drank like crazy.
Yeah.
The Lithuanian clubs were there, and that was part of their way of doing it. A lot of them also lived in the projects areas. I can say right by St. Peter's Church and that whole area,
Yeah.
Flaherty Way.
D Street projects.
There you go. So everybody, so I know that area back in the 1980s.
Yeah.
And you had to work your way through it.
Growing up, it was a tough neighborhood to be in.
Yeah.
You know, I actually grew up in 3rd Street Park. That's where I used to hang out with a lot of my friends, and then there would be groups at D Street projects, 5th Street, O'Connell projects, Old Harbor projects. So you'd have groups like everywhere, but everybody kind of knew everybody.
Yeah.
And they knew when an outsider would come into the neighborhood also,
Oh, yeah.
especially on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Because we didn't get in fights with people that didn't come from Southie.
yeah, we're trying to, trying to show off or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so, I grew up poor, so, I mean, we really didn't have any money, so even at a young age, I learned how to steal. We were stealing cars and things like that and selling them just to get money, and that money was really used for substances, alcohol, drugs,
Yeah.
or to buy nice clothes, because we couldn't get nice clothes, and other people had nice clothes,
Yeah.
so we want what other people had.
That's normal, I think, for anybody.
It was normal for like me, my brother, and my sister, and we would steal, and we would actually give our mother money, and that was acceptable. You know, and she was doing the best she could on welfare, and probably had a part-time job, and she was taking care of 4 kids.
And the kids had good hearts trying to help mother out.
Yes.
Wow.
So my older brother and my older sister don't have any problems with addiction, but me, my other brother and my sister had problems with addiction right away.
So just like in some families, it hit some, didn't hit others.
Didn't hit others. I think my older brother was doing some cocaine at one point and just like completely stopped doing it. I think my sister also had that, was drinking at one point and was doing cocaine, and they're just those people that can stop.
And
Moderate and just completely stop altogether.
So they weren't afflicted with the disease, though,
Right.
basically.
Yes.
Just like some in a family might have problems with their hearts or arthritis, others don't.
Right.
So, wow, what a similarity.
So.
So walk us through them. Okay, so from the projects, and what you did, you mentioned drugs. What kind of drugs would you do back then?
Back then, I was smoking a lot of marijuana. We were taking a lot of mescaline.
Yeah.
Acid.
Yeah. That was back then. That was the 80s. Yeah.
Not very often. Maybe a little bit of cocaine, but the main thing was probably alcohol and marijuana.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do a lot of mescaline, and just we'd lie to our mother and say we're staying over this person's house, staying over that person's house, and all our friends would say that to their mothers, and we'd be hanging out in abandoned buildings or forts that we made.
So you co-sign for each other that way.
And then hanging out.
Yeah.
And, but I started to get in trouble with the police and got arrested a couple of times, probably at like 14 years old, 15 years
So
old.
was that like a turning point already, to some degree?
To some degree it was, but it wasn't.
Mhm.
I mean, it might have smartened me up for just a little bit.
Right.
I think back in the day, you could quit school, you could get a job and stuff like that. You were allowed to quit school when you were like 16 years old. And when I was 16 years old, I asked my mother if I could quit school, promising that I would get a job and stuff like that. And she allowed me to quit school, and I didn't get a job. I ended up hanging out in the park all day, drinking, doing drugs, stealing to get money, things like that.
Mhm.
But it just progressed. They say it's a disease of progression, which basically means over any considerable period, it's gonna get worse, it's never gonna get better.
Do you mind if I ask you, when did you first get treatment then? Was it anywhere in that time period?
It wasn't, actually, but the first time I ever went to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting was in 1986, when I was 18 years old. But I was just really there because I think might have been on probation at that time.
Right.
I wasn't really there because I wanted to be there.
You weren't ready yet?
I wasn't ready. Neither was my brother, neither was my sister. And it just became a normal thing to do for us to lie, cheat, steal, do that stuff. And that was okay. We accepted that when other people, my friends are going off to school and they're going off to college and I'm getting in trouble, or, I'm on the streets basically, leaving my house in the middle of the night to go steal and stuff like that. That's, I know now, I didn't know then how much the disease had me at that point. But I was probably, my brother had gotten sober for a long time at one point. And he brought me into Alcoholics Anonymous. I think he was sober for maybe 36 years.
That's pretty
And we both worked at Gillette in South Boston. He started working there as a machine operator back in 1989 when he first came out with the sensor razor. He had got me a job there. I started working there as a machine operator. And basically, I hurt my back and work in the early 90s. And
that's a common thing for a lot of guys.
I got introduced to taking Percocets at that time. I was getting, I don't even know how many I was getting, but I was getting them every month. And from that point on, I started to hurt my back here and there. It would get better, it would get worse, it would get better. In 1996, I had surgery on my back, which they suggested me to do, which I probably shouldn't have done, but I did that, and it just really got worse. I ended up losing my job because I couldn't go to work because I became physically dependent on Percocets.
And they were prescribed legally at that time.
Right.
And just to let folks know, the 80s and early 90s is when basically the opioid epidemics became born little by little. If you recall, I don't know if you remember this or not, going into doctors' offices and things like that, you'd see smiley faces from frowning and pain all the way to being happy. And the nurse or the physician would ask, how do you feel right here? And that's what they would base their prescribing on. And then it just tumulted into the epidemic we have today.
I mean, I had legitimate pain from the back of my buttocks all the way was shooting down the side of my left leg. And when I had surgery, that went away. But
at least that went away.
That went away, but I was still addicted.
Right, because you were addicted already. And again, it was probably just freely given.
It's like 120 pills a month. That's like 4 to 5 a day for like 30 days, but they weren't even lasting. They might last a week, maybe a little bit more. And you would go back and ask for more. Go back and ask for more. I would still get money and buy them off the street. And it just progressed. I think at one point, I was 31 years old at the time, which I went into, started doing heroin. And I only went to it because it was cheaper. Right. And people were trying to get me to do it for like a few years. I'm like, no, only real drug addicts do heroin. I'm not gonna do heroin. I'm not gonna be one of those people. Right. And that's what happened. I took some heroin and I became addicted to that. And just repeated the same cycle with that basically as I did with Percocets. The lying, the cheating, the stealing. All the behaviors came come out. Selling drugs, things like that. And I became homeless because I pushed every single person out of my life, or I stole from them. When I look back on it now, it was about me getting what I needed to get because I was literally physically sick. You know, the people I hurt in the process, I wasn't thinking about it at that time. Was that one of your lowest points? That was one of my lowest points. Like getting in trouble, being on the streets. I mean, I think I had an idea in my head if I could just get every single person out of my life, then I'd be doing okay. And that's what I did. I either pushed them all away from me, or I stole from them. And in the end, I was all alone. And you know what? I wasn't okay being alone. I wasn't okay being alone. I was homeless on the streets, stealing food out of supermarkets. I think what you just tagged on here, I think a lot of folks have heard
or experienced it going through addiction and recovery is nobody wants to be alone. They all maybe sometimes fake it. They want to be alone. I don't need anybody, but deep within, we hear a lot of folks, that loneliness keeps driving you, and that can be the worst part.
It's hopelessness.
Yeah.
And the only thing that's really was keeping me going was the fact that I could probably steal and get money to get more.
Yeah.
The first time I ever went into detox, though, I was 31 years old. I had gotten into some trouble, and the judge from South Boston District Court said, "We're going to put you into Somerville detox," and that was the first detox I was at.
At 31?
At 31.
So you were a late bloomer.
I was a late bloomer. So
Wow.
my downfall basically is when I started doing heroin, because it went down very fast. Within a few years, I was already done.
Wow.
And I was in and out of detoxes. I would go to detox, I'd stay there for 5 days, I'd go out. They'd say, go to AA meetings, go to NA meetings, why don't you try this, why don't you try that, but I wasn't listening to them.
So you're doing the old spin drive back then.
That's what I continued to do, and I got in some trouble. And every time I got in trouble, I would go into a detox or something like that to try to get out of trouble. But all the trouble that I had been in my life was based on alcohol and drugs. I never got in any trouble sober.
Be nice if other people could say that.
Yeah. So the last time I was out there, I landed in Taunton, Massachusetts, where I was using out there, and I was homeless out there basically. I called Care Hospital. This was like back in 2005. It was the last place that I ever been in. And when I went in there, the counselor said to me, "There's 2 places we can send you. We can send you to Marble Shelter, or we can send you to Pittsburgh." I said, "You can't send me to Pittsburgh. There's too much drugs in Pittsburgh."
Oh, yeah.
I said, "But you can send me to Marlboro, because I don't know anybody in Marlboro."
So safer to that degree.
Safer. I couldn't get sober in my environment in South Boston. I could not get sober.
Right.
So I figured I'd just try something different.
Yeah.
When I did get sober, I did not plan on getting sober. I really just went there because I had nowhere else to go.
Wow, okay.
I had one little backpack, one bag, and then I was sleeping like next to Morton Hospital in Taunton in Reeds. I was taking my showers inside the bathroom in the hospital. And I lived in the Marble Shelter. And I went to IOP at Care probably for about a month until my insurance kind of ran out there. But I started going to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings in Marlboro. And I started to go to a lot of meetings. I was a very angry person when I first got sober, because I really had the street attitude and stuff like that. If people looked at me the wrong way, I was almost wanting to fight with them. Something changed for me early on. I know today it's because the obsession to drink and do drugs was lifted from me while I was in that shelter. And it was, when I look back on it now, it's one of the defining moments in my recovery, because I'm 50 years old. And I've been thinking about drinking and doing drugs since I was 12 years old. So for the first time in my life, that obsession and compulsion, the drive to do drugs and drink and get in trouble and things like that, it's gone from me.
That's incredible.
Well, the big book Alcoholics Anonymous talks about it, is that I had a spiritual experience. And one form of it is it's a personality change sufficient to bring about recovery from alcoholism. I had a shift on that day. I really didn't know how great that shift was. I know how great it was today. And from that day till this day, actually 12 days from today, God willing, I'll be sober 13 years. And I haven't obsessed about drinking and getting high. It doesn't mean that I haven't thought about it and it went in one ear, out the other ear, things like that. And that's when my journey started.
That's an incredible journey so far.
So
far, journey, life is a journey, so.
Yeah, and I did some things differently this time. There's one thing I remember about the first meeting that I went to when I was 18 years old. There was a guy that was standing up at the podium, and he said, "The only suggestions that you pay for are the ones that you don't take." And I really understand that statement, because over the years, I came in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous from the time I was 18 to the time I was 37 when I got sober. And a lot of people gave me a lot of good suggestions, and I didn't take any of them.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to bet that I paid for most of them.
Yeah.
I had been in another meeting at one point, and another gentleman made the statement that recovery is what you put into it is what you get out of it.
I think that's a true statement.
And those things started to apply to my recovery, and they still apply to my recovery today. By going to meetings, getting a sponsor, and really doing the things that I really don't want to do. Asking another human being for help, and going to meetings and trying to carry this message to other people and to help other people. But life has its challenges.
It sure does. And also, you really described, we hear it a lot these days that there's all different pathways to recovery. You found your pathway. It's different than other people that you hear routinely, but you found it.
I always like to tell people that everybody needs to find their own recovery. It's really what's going to work for them. You know, if they choose to go to Smart Recovery, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, or even if they choose to go to church, if that's what's helping them stay clean and sober,
They're in recovery.
that's what's helping them stay clean and sober. But what really helped me is I had gone through the 12 steps of recovery out of the book Alcoholics Anonymous, and I did that when I was 4.5 years sober.
Wow.
Because my first 4.5 years, I had put down the drink and I had put down drugs, but I didn't change any of my behaviors.
And that's
I
why you
was
still
still
have the
lying, I
anger?
was still cheating, I was still stealing, I was still angry.
Okay.
I was doing things that I probably shouldn't be doing in AA.
Right.
And I became restless and discontented when I was 4.5 years sober.
4 years sober.
Yeah.
So that really kind of talks to, and I'm sure folks are listening here, that it is that personality change. You can be sober, but you still have that old personality that was the addiction personality, right?
Right.
So 4.5 years, that's also incredible.
And being in recovery, it's about changing our behaviors. That's what it's about. Yeah. It's about changing the way that we think. Because our problem, it starts up here. We think about anything before we're going to do it.
And that's certainly what we do here at the Ferris Center at New England Recovery.
Yeah.
It's a lot of folks, I heard it a lot of times, change behavior, change the person. And you're exactly talking to that.
It's the same thing I say to the clients. I'm like, you can learn everything you want here. You can go all the groups and everything like that. But if you don't utilize that information when you leave here, it's not helping you.
And you'll pay for it.
And you'll pay for it. And you'll pay for it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard a lot of lines from a lot of different people, and one of them that I heard that was a good one is Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. It's not a spectator sport.
Yeah.
It's for people that do something.
Yeah.
You know, it's about participation in your recovery. And
it's not just going. You hear a lot of folks who say they're in recovery, and God bless them, hopefully they are in their own recovery, but they say, oh yeah, we go to meetings. Do they participate in the meetings? Not so much.
So nowadays, we're fortunate enough to have so many types of meetings. Right. You can go to an open meeting, you can go to an open discussion meeting, you can go to a speaker meeting, you can go to a step meeting, you can literally go to a big book.
More pathways are opening up.
Yeah, they're all opening up, and it's there for anybody who wants to take advantage of it.
And I think that's terrific that more of these pathways are opening up, that you're not just relegated, oh, you gotta go AA or NA, and even then, it's very restricting back then. And so now, yeah, multiple pathways.
Yes. So life hasn't been without challenges, though. My mother had died when I was about 8 months clean and sober on May 25th of 2006. She died of cancer. Yeah. I can remember going to see her a few times before she died and really not wanting to cry and not wanting to tell her I was sorry, because I told her I was sorry before when I stole her money. But, you know, it was like that. Right. And, when my mom died, and I was crying in the Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, and the people in Alcoholics Anonymous helped me get through that situation.
You're supportive.
And fast forward 10 years later, on May 17th, a couple of years ago, my oldest sister died from this disease. She was 59 years old. I had gotten a call from my brother saying that the Boston police detectives were going to do a wellness check on my sister, and they found her body. They said she died peacefully like this and stuff like that, but I also know it was from years of drinking straight vodka and smoking crack cocaine. And so she wasn't fortunate enough to get this program. But she's in a better place now. She's not suffering anymore. And And I have a lot of friends that overdose and died.
Mhm.
You know, every day, we hear it every single day today. What's
We all
going on
do.
out there now it's crazy.
It is the amount of overdosing that's occurring, that really hasn't changed. That's still on the uptick in places. A lot of folks are saying it's stabilized. Other folks are saying not so, it hasn't stabilized yet. So here you are, and I am, everybody that works here, we're trying to stabilize it and bring it down.
Yeah, there's so many more treatments now, especially Vivitrol come out, injectable, which has been great for some people. It works fine for some people,
Right.
once a month injection. I mean,
It may not work for everybody, and that's okay. And that's okay. We can't say blanket statements, oh, this is the best thing for everybody. It may not work. Pure and simple.
goes back to what I said earlier, everybody's gonna find what's gonna work for them.
Exactly.
But if you're bouncing and you keep going into detoxes and you keep going into programs, you might wanna try something different than what you're doing now.
Mm.
Whether it's MAT or whether it's getting involved in the 12 steps of recovery, because what you're doing up to this point is not working.
Right. I mean, the question is, you might ask somebody, so what did you do that worked? Well, I kept going to detox and I kept, failing the detoxes. So that didn't work. What else can you try? Right. So tell me, you're a professional in the addictions field here at Paris. What do you see as challenges for the folks who are going through addiction and now through the beginning stages of treatment and then early recovery down the line? What do you see as?
I'll just go back and let you know how I started to work in this field.
Yeah, sure.
So I've been doing detox commitments over Spectrum Detox at ATS for almost 8 years. Before I started working here, I went up to the old residential facility one night to do a commitment. And a lady that was working here, her name's Laura, she no longer works here, but she asked me wanted to apply for a job here.
Okay.
And I didn't think I was gonna get the job, but I applied for the job. Before that, I was a maintenance worker and a building manager. But I ended up getting the job and I started to work in this field.
Oh, nice.
But initially, like most of us that get into this field, I wanted to get involved to help somebody, to really try to help people. Some of the things that I see today is because I've been here for 5 years, I've worked here for 5 years, so I've seen people over and over and over and over. I have seen clients that come into this facility, leave and do the right thing for a couple of years, and then have a slip and then they come back.
At least they come back.
They do, yeah. And I've seen clients that have left here and went out and unfortunately overdosed and passed away.
And those are the clients that I remember when they didn't come back. Those are the ones you worked about.
And sometimes I think, you're never gonna know. It's always gonna be up to the individual. It's what they're gonna do when they leave. I might know a client for 2 or 3 minutes while they're here and think, you know what, this person's gonna get it. I know he's gonna get it.
Right.
Then unfortunately, a couple months later, he'll be back.
No crystal balls here. You can't
There's
foresee.
I think it's difficult for some people, especially being in early recovery, and that's why they call it being restless variable discontent. In early recovery, like 1 minute you're happy, next minute you're sad, 1 minute you want to punch somebody, next you want to hug them, so you can't really even control your emotions, but if they continue to stay clean and sober, that bypasses.
It stabilizes.
They stabilize, basically. They get stabilized, and that's why when people come in, it's very difficult for them, especially if they're in pause, they have pause going on. And then when you see them a month later, that's one of the best parts of my job is to be able to see somebody when they walk into this facility that doesn't have any hope. They have no place to go. They don't have their kids in their life. They have DCF involvement. And then you see them a month later, you watch them for a month, you watch them for 2 months. DCF's coming here with their children. They're looking to go to a sober house and things starting to change for them. But the biggest thing is I can see the changes in them, even though they may not see it. Because sometimes.
So what do you see? Tell me what you see. Sometimes.
So a person will come in and they'll fight recovery.
Right.
I don't want to go to group. I don't want to participate in this. They're going to have a big book meeting because there's no commitments. I'm not going to speak. I'm just going to sit there. I'm not going to do anything. They get head down. They're looking at the floor, and then after a while, they might raise their hand in groups and have a little bit of something to share. And next thing you know, they're starting to share at the big book meeting, and they like the big book. How do I get a sponsor? Things like that. They start asking questions. Going to this neighborhood, any meetings in that area, things like that. But you see them start to participate, and you can see that they want it.
It's almost like recovery talk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a great way of looking at it.
But then, unfortunately, we have clients that do come in and they don't do anything and they just move on and they come back, and that's okay.
And they're not ready, perhaps. And you're right, that is okay.
My hope is that somebody might say something to them that might make them click or change. It may not be today, it may not be the 5th time when they come back.
Right.
But at some point, hopefully, as long as they keep trying, they'll think that I can get
something
this.
said, a life event, something that click, and all of a sudden now, just like you.
My life event was when that obsession to drinking drugs was lifted for me. That was my life event. It was, I can't even describe it. It was just a defining moment. I know it today. I didn't really know it back then. It was just like something that happened.
Right.
But the one thing that I've always done is I've always been active in Alcoholics Anonymous. I go to a couple of the state prisons, the state prison in Walpole. I do a 1, 2, 3 step meeting there. And then at Concord Farm on Wednesdays, I do a big book workshop where I read the first 163 pages to the guys in there, and I explain the 12 steps of recovery to them. And I've been doing that for like 5, 6 years.
Wow.
And it's really been, I found a balance, if you could say, because when I first got into recovery, I was going to meetings like 3 times a day because I really didn't even have a job. I was going to meetings more out of necessity because I felt that if I wasn't at that meeting, I could get in trouble.
Right, to occupy your time.
To occupy my time,
Yeah.
And I did a lot of commitments. I still do a lot of commitments today. But I found a balance in my life of certain meetings that I go to. And
see, and this, I think, I love for the more people to hear this kind of stuff to balance your life. When you just said it, that some people think just going to a meetings, so many meetings per day, every day, maybe it keeps them occupied, but that's not balance in life, and that's not real life, because everybody wants to be back in real life again. So I love the way you said that.
So in the big book, Alcoholics Anonymous, we recovered from a seemingly hopeless condition of mind and body. So I'm no longer hopeless in mind and body. And being recovered means that you've gained something back.
You become whole again.
What I am becoming is the person that the God of my understanding intended to be. And I've gotten a life that I probably should have had a long time ago, but unfortunately I wasn't ready at that point. I've gotten married in recovery. I just recently bought a house. In May, I bought a house.
Nice.
And I'm 50 years old.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah, I mean, I got sober when I was 37. It's never too late to get sober.
Nope.
It's the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life.
So, with your job here, and we'll talk about the future and stuff like that because we have time, of course. In all the stuff we talk about addiction, we talk about recovery. Many times we talk about, it's the awful stuff, the dark stuff, the tragedies. Not to lighten it, but there are moments it's human that there are funny things that happen too. And just to talk about what have you gone through, what have you seen that is genuinely funny, not poking at a person, no, but just it's human. And it actually humanizes somebody's recovery.
That's what, I like to watch a lot of movies, whether they're funny or whether they're sad. And I guess the difference today is I've been able to get my emotions back.
Yeah.
Sometimes watching a movie with my wife, I want to cry, but I can't cry because I do get, my emotions are back.
Yeah.
I get to feel.
Yeah.
One incident I remember, this is just about myself,
That's fine.
because I used to be a very angry person, but a funny thing that happened to me at one point, I was a building manager and I was living in an apartment, and I was waiting to go to my commitment, and I opened my cabinets because I was making something to eat, and I was gonna make some pasta and had some ragu sauce. I had a big plastic container of ragu sauce on the top, and it literally fell on the counter, smashed and splattered all over me. And all I could do was laugh.
Wow. I would be just horrified. I know my wife would be horrified and you laugh.
That's all I could do was laugh. I just laughed about it. I mean, I've gone to comedy events like the Addiction for All Center in Marlboro. I've been a volunteer there for years. I was on their board of directors for about 3 years, and every year they have a comedy event.
Nice.
And I've done more things in recovery in the past 13 years than I ever did my previous 37 years.
I mean, social activities and stuff.
I mean, yeah, I was like so isolated and probably full of fear also. And when me and my wife go away, we always go somewhere different. I've experienced so much.
So you can have fun in recovery is the thing, right?
I have fun in recovery.
There you go.
I love the Bruins every year. I go to the Patriots every year.
Love that.
We go to comedy events. I got about 5 friends that I hang around with. I know hundreds of people, but I got 5 friends that have been with me and saw me since I came in. Not clean sober. One of them's been sober 30 years.
Wow.
Another gentleman come in like August 29th, maybe, like a month before I did. My wife and a couple other people that I hang around with.
See,
we mess around with each other.
I love that. I mean, true friends too.
Yeah.
And there's an old saying, I don't know if you've ever heard it. If you have 5 friends that stick with you all the way through, you're a very wealthy person. Kind of thing.
And they know everything there is to know about me. They don't judge me regardless.
Nice.
They're my friends.
They're true friends.
We go to the same meeting, we go to the same commitments, we sit in the back row, sarcastic and things like that. But, you know what? I didn't get involved in recovery to be a miserable person, and that's what I was, miserable.
Yeah.
I know that today, that I was just a miserable person.
And it's sad. I still see people who are in recovery and they're not happy.
Right.
And that's sad to me to see that. I wouldn't want them being carefree and just laughing and giggling all the time. That's not good either.
Right.
But to, as you said, to have a balance so you can have fun. That's life.
Yeah.
You're living life as it should be lived.
A lot of people think that I look like a police officer.
Well, you have that.
I'm
You have the semblance.
an angry person, and I say, you may think that, but if you had a conversation with me, you wouldn't think that.
Right.
Well, it's a salty thing.
No, yeah, I'm sure, and that's okay too.
Yeah,
And that's where you came from. That's all right.
Yeah, it's been great.
So tell me about what's going on for the future for you.
So for the future, right now, I'm about to graduate from Worcester State as far as I'm doing a KDAC program. So on October 10th, we have our graduation. Then actually the next day,
He was a student of mine.
I was a student. He taught me a lot, believe me. On October,
You taught me a lot too, by the way, just sharing that with you.
Believe me, I'm really grateful for the people that I've had that have given me opportunities along the way, and that I had taken advantage of those opportunities. Because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Yeah.
But on October 10th, we graduate.
Yeah.
We're already aware of that. On October 11th, I start going to Becker College for business management. Administration.
Administration. So I gotta ask you this, why do you want business management? Because you're in the field right now.
I think right now that I'm at a place where, without a degree, I can't really go much further than where I'm at. And I'm hoping one day to hopefully become a director of a program. So that's in my future.
I think you'd probably be a really good director of a program.
And I can't do that without a degree. And when I think back on it right now, it's just something that I probably could have did a very long time ago, but unfortunately I had to wait. I waited too long, not really too long, but
I'm a believer in fate. If it's happening now, it was meant to happen now. That's just me.
Yeah.
Because everything else came into place for you. Like I said, I've known you a while now, and I've seen you professionally. You've grown incredibly, and so this would be like the culmination then, right?
yeah, that's
Nice.
just one more stepping stone for myself to be able to move in the right direction. Because I want to stay, obviously, in this field. I love being in this field. I love working with the clients that are in this field.
And you're giving back at the same time. How good is that?
Right.
And you do what you like to do. That's the best sort of people say love to do.
That's the difference. I mean, going back to what I was talking about before, I don't go to meetings out of necessity. I go to meetings because I want to go to meetings.
How nice is
And
that?
that's where my friends are.
How nice is that, Dave?
Yeah, that's huge.
I think that's really huge. And again, that was an incredible journey you told us. Thanks for sharing with everybody here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on the show.
And again, Rob Grenier shared his life story with us here on Airing Addiction at the Barrow Center, New England Recovery Center here in Westboro, Massachusetts. And again, Dr. Buvydas, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And hope to see you in the show in the future, you know? Why not?
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you next month, folks. Thank you again.
Yeah, hopefully I did it.
Yeah.